everybody. Welcome back to the Ultimate Tribute Band podcast. I'm Roger, and this is going to be a very, very fun episode for me, and I hope it is for you too, because this is going to be a very unique concept in tribute bands that we're talking about. My guests on this show today, so there'll be 6 of us total. Try not to make it look like a Brady Bunch episode as I cut in and out. We're going to be starting with our founding member. His name is Ron McNeil. You will remember him as the founder and our guest previously on an episode when we interviewed the Fab Four. Well, he's got a new project. He hinted about it at the last episode. And so today's the day we're going to be talking all about it. This is a tribute to a fake band. And I'm going to put it right out there. But it's one of the most fun, exciting, coolest things that came out of the 60s music scene. And it was the Monkees. So we're doing a tribute to the Monkees today. And we're going to have the Monkee Men on. And we've got all 4 Monkee Men, plus our 5th monkey, Ron. So Ron McNeil, welcome to the show.
It's good to be back again. It's going to be the Ron McNeil podcast after a while, Roger.
Hey, you know what? As long as you want to contribute anything, that'd be great. A set of headphones, a microphone, whatever you can do, buddy. So if you could do me a favor, why don't you introduce the cast, the crew, the band, and let's talk about who they are and what they're doing.
Sure. I'm not sure how you have it set up this way, but right below me right now is John Fickus, who plays Peter Tork in our group. And next to him is Joshua Jones, who plays Mickey Dolenz in the group. You guys can talk, it's actually a talkie. And Doug Couture plays Mr. Mike Nesmith.
How you doing?
There we go.
And my brother Frank plays Little Handsome Davy.
How are you?
All right. Well, thanks, gentlemen. I know we're all kind of in different parts of the country right now, so I do appreciate you all coming together to talk about this. I suppose it would make sense a little bit to kind of use the Fab Four as a bit of a jump-off point, because I feel like there's a real common ground here. So are any of you members or have been previously or currently members? Do you participate in the Fab Four project?
All of us.
Oh, yeah, I think all of us have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did quite a bit of work with the Fab Four. We did the Fab Four Mania show in Las Vegas. I think I was there about 8 years, I think it was, Ron. Something like that.
Yeah.
So as McCartney is what I did.
Okay. And what about you guys, Doug?
Yeah, I've been with them since 2011. Cast member.
Doing, who were you portraying?
George.
Gotcha. Joshua?
Yeah.
Yeah, since late 2019.
And your character?
And I'm Paul.
Paul. And John, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you might have been John Lennon on some level, or maybe I'm...
Yeah. Whenever Ron doesn't feel like it, then they give me a call and it's like, yeah, Ron's in bed again. Can you come do this gig? And it's like, yeah, sure. Okay, fine.
Gotcha.
So, since about 2019.
Okay. So obviously we've got a history together, working together. We know the talent level of these guys. So Ron, what brought about doing this? So let me kind of just preface this. I mean, I said fake band, but I love the Monkees. I don't know anybody that really didn't love the Monkees. And so, but let's be honest, they were actors who were hired to portray a rock band kind of as a Beatles concept, where it was kind of the fast tempoed comedy and things like that. And they were just kind of goofy, but obviously there was going to be music was a huge part of the show. So they found 4 actors. Now, granted, at least 3 of them were actual musicians. Davey, maybe not necessarily a musician, but he was a singer and a performer, did theater. I know that. So you're creating a tribute to a band that technically never existed as other than a TV show. So how did this, right. how did this spark happen? What caused this to come up?
Well, it's a little weird, obviously. I mean, the Monkees were my introduction to music. Watching them on television in the reruns. My mom says I used to run around the house and sing, "Hey, hey, we're the Monkees." Watching my Call Gems records go around the record player, climbing up and watching it. But it is a weird entity, isn't it? It started out as a TV show, and then they ended up making records, which forced them to be a band. But what a band it turned out to be. I mean, you talk about musically, you're talking about the Wrecking Crew is basically the band.
Right.
You're talking to the Wrecking Crew with Mickey Dolenz and Davy Jones singing over the Wrecking Crew.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a great band. And you're talking about songwriters. You're talking about Neil Diamond and Carole King and David Gates and a lot of great songwriters. Those are your songwriters. So those are your musicians, your songwriters, and your singers. I mean, that's a great band right there. And then on top of it, they have a TV show. So, I mean, it's obvious that they were a success and a real influence to a lot. If you talk to any musicians who were, around at that time, that's a huge influence, along with the Beatles as well. But the Monkees were on TV every single day, and they were funny, and the show was written by professional comedic writers and everything. It was really, really amazing. Really amazing entity. In 1967, the Monkees ruled the world. I mean, it was huge. And so that's, obviously everyone has an influence on the Monkees, and we decided there really wasn't a good current Monkees tribute that was out there. And since I'm kind of like John said, I'm kind of not in the Fab Four that much anymore. I decided to take on a project that I wanted to do for a long, long time, and that was do a Monkees tribute.
I didn't do any research before this episode regarding this particular
That's
thing.
right.
But has
we,
there
we
been?
We don't expect any of that, Roger, on this show.
I'm just the host. I don't need to know anything about what I'm talking about. But I didn't do any research whether there's a Monkees tribute. So has there been? Is there? I mean, not that we're going to talk about competition, but has that been done?
There's been a couple that have tried,
Okay.
but not on this level. Like you said, if you want to compare it to the Fab Four, not on this level. And we're really trying to do it professionally. I got dressed up. I took a shower. We're going to make this thing good. We're doing our best. And the guys that you're looking at on the screen are for the most talented guys I've ever had in our Beatles situation and now in the Monkees thing. And I'm very happy to have them on board.
And not to condescend to our audience in any way, but just in case anybody doesn't understand the whole Wrecking Crew thing. One, there is an amazing documentary about them. And they're kind of the LA equivalent of what was happening in Motown in Detroit. Was all those songs in Motown by the Supremes and the Temptations and the Four Tops, those are all vocal groups. They weren't musicians. So there was hired musicians, session players that came in Motown. Well, in LA, it was kind of the same concept. And I think Glenn Campbell was part of that for a while, the Wrecking Crew. And there were some pretty big players in a member of Bread, I think, used to be in the Wrecking Crew. And they were just session LA players who played, if you listen to most any pop top 40 song or Frank Sinatra songs or those Dean Martin songs in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was probably the Wrecking Crew. If you're listening to a Beach Boys song like Good Vibrations, you might be listening to Brian Wilson, but everybody else on that record is part of the Wrecking Crew.
Sure, Carol Kay playing bass. She's basically the bass player of the Monkees, along with Chip Douglas and some other different people. Hal Blaine is the Monkees.
Hal Blaine
drummer.
was a big part of that. Yeah.
Mickey didn't play drums that much on those records, so
Right.
Go ahead.
And so on the Monkees records, like on many of the biggest artists of the time, it was the Wrecking Crew playing the music, and then Mickey, Davey, Mike, Peter would come in and do vocal tracks afterwards. It's a for the Monkee fans, they know that became a big thing for the actors. They eventually really, really wanted to be their own true band and get out there on their own, and they did go out and play. So what you're doing here is you're creating a tribute to a TV show as much as you are the music. In a sense, the casual person remembers the show as much as it's inexplicably, it's connected. It's never not connected. So did you just kind of tap the guys that are in the rotation of the Fab Four and say, you'd be a good Peter, you'd be a good Mike, you'd be a good Davey? How did the conversation start and you put the four together that you got?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but Doug played with us with Fab Four when we did a show with Mark Lindsay from Paul Revere and the Raiders and Mickey Dolenz. So it was a show called 50 Summers of Love. So Doug was learning all the Monkees parts and the Raiders parts along with the Beatles. We already knew the Beatles parts. And so there was a spot in that show where I had the actual real Mickey Dolenz put the Nesmith hat onto Doug, and we were all looking at him going, He actually he does look a little bit like Mike Nesmith. It was very weird. And Doug is a freaking phenomenal guitar player. I mean, like these guys really are almost the Wrecking Crew of our time. Like if you talk about tribute guys, these guys can play anything. They're really, really talented. So that was kind of like in the back of my mind. I had Doug in the back of my mind, but the problem was Mickey. because you needed someone to play drums like Hal Blaine and some of those amazing session musicians and sing like Mickey Dolenz and look something like him. And I didn't know this about Josh because I'd worked with him a couple times when Josh was playing Paul, that he actually started out as a drummer. And I was, maybe I'll just give him a buzz and see if he. So I just texted him real quick. He said, "Heck yeah, I'll totally do it." And he's got a naturally high voice. He sings all the high McCartney stuff in the Beatles show, and so he's always tackling the high harmonies. And I thought he could probably sing Mickey real well and does a real good job with that. And then of course Josh and John Fickus play together a lot as John and Paul. And he said, you ought to just ask Fickus. He already looks like Peter Tork, and he plays all those instruments and he plays banjo and all the stuff like Peter Tork did. So he was a quick yes. And so then I asked Doug, and he says, "Yeah, that sounds like a great band. I'd love to do it." And the last one was Davey, and I hadn't heard from my brother in a little while, so I just gave him a quick buzz, because the two of us, Frank and I, the Monkees are all around the house all the time. You couldn't really get away from them. So we're both really, really big Monkees fans. And, the best thing about Frank is that we both do a pretty good Davey, but the best thing about Frank is, number one, he's younger, he's thinner, and he's cuter. So I think that kind of works. What's cool about Frank too, and a lot of people, we're talking to industry people, so I think they know the Wrecking Crew, and I think they know this kind of stuff. But all these guys are being asked to do stuff that I know this wasn't the question, but all these guys do stuff that the Monkees didn't do. For example, on the song Words, on the TV show, they had Davey pretending to play the drums. Well, our Davey, Frank, has to actually play the drums if you want it to look like that. Yeah. So right. Frank, he's a bass player and a guitar player and a keyboard player, and he also, fiddles around on drums, and we did it the other day, and it was just amazing. I mean, so there's little things like that where, or Davey has to play bass in the show. He's faking on Pleasant Valley Sunday, and that's a great bass line, real busy bass line that, and What Am I Doing Hanging Around? And Frank knows all that stuff. So we have a really good crew here, and we have our own Wrecking Crew, and so we're real excited about it.
Yeah, I think you touched on the fact that there's the whole layer of the fact that you guys goes without saying, obviously truly playing the instruments, and you're doing what the show replicated, but you are doing it live. So Davey is going to go back and play the drums on that particular song, or the bass, or whatever the case may be. So, but for all intents and purposes, at some level, I'm going to assume, Frank, you're out there with just maracas in your hand on some songs because that's the look. So that means you've got a drummer, a bass player, and a guitar player on stage. Right. And so you are recreating songs. So what's the mechanics of that? How does that all come together?
Oh, you're asking me? How does it all come together? I don't.
Sure.
I just shake the tambourine and the maracas at that point. What else can I do?
Yeah. The rest is up to them.
Yeah. Well, the main problem is Mickey. So, no, I'm kidding, because Ron said that.
He is the problem. Yeah.
Well, you said it. Anyway, so it is kind of cool. All I have to do is shake the maracas and sing. But at the same time, is I'm so used to hiding behind an instrument like the bass when I was doing McCartney, that I was hoping would be the focus, and the focus wouldn't be on me. I'm a little insecure. I think a lot of musicians are, but now it's just a microphone and the maracas or the tambourine, and it's what do I do with that?
With your other hand.
We've got to find a big enough maraca for you to hide.
It wouldn't be too hard. Not that tall.
When we are dealing on a song, though, that's just more musical, Daydream Believer's got all the piano going, but you've got instrumentation happening in that song. So is the music supplemented in some way? Are there side guys off the stage? Is there anything, and is there anything happening to help fill up those songs?
No, these are great questions. That's why it says fifth Monkee here.
Okay.
I'm the fifth Monkee, and we have a sixth Monkee as well. So it takes 6 guys to perform, because like you said, there's with Davey only rattling a tambourine, you got bass, drums, and guitar. And most songs have way more than that, an acoustic or 2, or some of the guitar parts, like Mary Mary has 3 or 4 guitars. And so that's why we decided to put the 2 guys sort of in the back while the 4 Monkees are up front doing what looks like the television show. And the other 2 guys are back there doing that. But yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I think that's So I think the takeaway here is, guys, if you go see the show, you're going to see real musicians playing real instruments and then sounding and looking like the Monkees. And we're going to watch a clip in a few minutes, and you're going to see that they do sound and look like the Monkees. It was a blast. It was an absolute kick for me to watch this. So you got the players in place. It sounded like you guys all were on board fairly quickly. Nobody kind of went, the Monkees, really? I don't know, man. Tribute world can fall into being labeled as cheesy, corny, shticky, kitschy. And it feels like this almost sets somebody up for like, oh, we're going to be made fun of on some level, or maybe not taken as seriously. I think having the pedigree of the Fab Four as your foundation is probably going to alleviate a lot of that. So there was no hesitation on all four of you guys. You all pretty much said, yeah, let's do it. This will be a blast.
I don't know about that, but
Well,
They all asked me, how much are we going to make? That was the first question. So
And do I still keep my Fab Four gig?
exactly.
Well, good. I'm excited for this project to take off. So, in the show itself, or I'm sure there's a lot of thought that goes into what this production is going to be. Are there elements of the live show that take into account the TV show? Meaning, is there comedy elements to this whole thing? Is there stuff in this besides the songs, or is this a straight up Monkees concert kind of concept?
Go ahead, John.
There's definitely, we're doing our best to incorporate laugh tracks, sound effects.
Love it.
I feel like we're still kind of feeling around in that sort of area if we want to include it. I think it's a blast. I think doing the one-liners and having we do a bit where we're introducing a Mike song, and Mike's going, "Go on, Peter, give me a G," and so I pull the G string off of the bass, and we have a boing sound effect, right? And I think it's hilarious. We might have to work on the timing a little bit, but I think it's great. I love that we're doing that, because that's the charm of the Monkees, right? Like you were saying, how the TV show is you can't separate the music and the TV show. They're an act. They're everything. They're the comedy. They're the look. They're the music. So I think it's great that we're incorporating all that together. I hope we stick with it and lean into it and really make it part of the show. I
was gonna say, if that's any indication of the show, I'm all in. I'm totally all in, because I far be it for me to suggest anything, but I think if you are doing a Monkees thing, that's got to be something you got to at least you got to nod your head to. You got exactly. to. So I'm loving that idea. So you said you did a project with Mickey Dolenz. Is there any? He's kind of the only guy left now at this point. He's aware of this, or do you know if he's aware of this, or is this too early to really know what's going on there? Is he going to be on stage with you at some point, you think?
Well, one thing at a time. His attorneys got in touch with us, which it's a big lawsuit about this big. No, I'm joking. No, we worked with Mickey, and I told him about it, and we actually did a couple of shows with Mickey. Right after COVID, we did a version of the 60s show just without Mark Lindsay. So it was Fab Four, and then we introduced Mickey, and then Mickey sang the hits of the Monkees. And so I told him, I'd been telling him for a while that I'm thinking about putting it together, but we used these actual 4 guys or 5 guys to back Mickey. So he's already experienced what it's like to play with us. So he knows about it. He gave his blessing. The first thing he said, well, who's playing me? And so I showed him Josh. I said, at least he's a good looking kid. You know what I mean? So, and then who's playing that little midget? You know what I mean? So I said, well, it's my brother, and so he really enjoys it. I'm not sure if he would come up or not. I mean, like I said, he's already played with us, but it might be a little creepy for him to come up and be there with the fake Monkees. Yeah. I don't really know, but he's a great guy, and I think that as long as he not endorses it, but at least gives his approval, I think we can take it somewhere.
Yeah. Dude, and I think we got his endorsement because I can't remember which show it was with him, but we were playing awesome, and you can find the videos online. I think we're doing Stepping Stone with him, And I think, what other one is really great? I can't remember, but definitely Stepping Stone. There's a video, was it in Minnesota or Michigan or something? And he came backstage and he was super into it. He goes, man, you guys really have a lot of energy with these tunes. And we were talking about how, yeah, we really try to like be as true to the recordings as we can. And I think he realized that. I think he like picked up on it. Cause, you know, when you're like someone like, one of these, legacy acts, you know, and you've been playing these tunes for 40 years, sometimes you might, you know, sometimes it goes a little different direction. Sometimes you might want to like lengthen the intro a little bit. Sometimes you're going to add some different arrangement just to keep it interesting for yourself. And that's fine. But like, you know, the whole essence of a tribute band is to like recreate the songs like note for note like they are on the record. And we do really well with that. And I think he noticed it and he like picked up on the energy that we have. Like, yeah, it's really great. So I feel like we got his endorsement like officially like nice. That night. So
getting into the show itself, I mean, these were all songs recorded in the 60s for radio. And so these are all 2.5, maybe 3.5 minute songs. You gotta, I mean, are you at a 90-minute show? That's a lot of songs you got to get in there.
It's 700 songs.
700 songs.
Yeah.
That's when we're the opening act.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot in there. Now, you know, again, you got songs by Neil Diamond and Carol Bayer Sager and Carole King. And I mean, you've got phenomenal songs in there, but they're all kind of short. They're all radio.
Josh, you want to address that, Josh?
Yeah,
Sorry.
They're all pretty short. It's a lot of songs.
Thanks.
Thank you, Josh, and that's why we have Josh on the show.
Nice.
It's insight like that we're counting on.
It's always Mickey. Mickey's always.
Well, the thing about these short songs is it's really weird. Like you said, 2.5 minutes. One of Mike Nesmith's most popular songs, Papa Jean's Blues, is less than 2 minutes. But the instrumentation on that thing and how fast it's going and all the different things that are happening, it only happens for 2 minutes. So you feel like you want to extend it, or you feel like, you know, you wasted all that energy to learn this incredibly difficult tune for only 2 minutes. But like John was saying, you kind of have to stick to the record, and that's what people are expecting to hear. But it's fun. It's a challenge. It's a lot of moving around. John, as Peter Tork, will play, you know, the Vox organ, or he'll play the bass, or he'll play acoustic guitar. We're trying to work the banjo in. And so there's a lot of moving around. Like I said, Davey goes on drums, then he's on bass, and then, you know, the only real guys who stay are pretty much Mickey and Mike. And I'm moving around a lot, and the six Monkees moving around a lot. But it's a lot to recreate.
So having all the experience doing the Fab Four, you guys obviously all researched your player and worked on the voice and the mannerisms and the playing and the style and the little idiosyncrasies. And again, you're now recreating 4 new characters, 4 new people. So have you guys just been watching a lot of Monkees?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on in our heads. You know, we got to keep it straight on who's who, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Am I Mickey or am I George Harrison? Am I Paul McCartney? Am I Davy Jones?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, there must be just that research time, that workout period where you're working on your impersonation of the movements, and you're not just learning the songs, you're learning how they play, how they look while they're playing, kind of thing.
Damn.
You know, if I could speak for myself, it's probably a similar situation for everyone else. But like, the Monkees for me were also my first musical sort of like thing. My mom, when she was a teen in the 60s, and she had tons of Tiger Beat magazines, you know, with the Monkees all over them and like posters all over her wall. So when I was a kid, in the 80s, she was always playing like the cassettes for us. And I remember being like, you know, 5 years old and like playing tennis rackets and banging on pots and pans and like imagining like I still was a kid. So I thought I could see the Monkees inside of the boombox, like playing their guitars and stuff. But like, I've essentially been researching the roles since I was like 5 years old. I just didn't realize it. Right. So watching the TV show, like there was that resurgence in the 80s, I feel like, where the Monkees sort of like came back and it was on MTV, like the TV show was. And so, yeah, I remember watching it all the time as a kid. And yeah, you know, just cataloging away all those Peter bits. But yeah, and that's the same story with the Beatles. Like, I feel like we probably all have the same story because we're all Monkees fans, we're all Beatles fans.
Yeah.
We've all been doing the research forever.
Yeah, and it extended even beyond just the band the Monkees. You know, my favorite show as a kid was Boy Meets World. And all of the members of the Monkees except for Mike were on the show. Mickey Dolenz was on the show a bunch. Davey was on there. Peter Tork played Topanga's dad. So, you know, growing up with the TV show and then getting a little bit older and still having those guys in my life, even in that respect. So they've always kind of been there. Yeah,
I think it sounds like there's really just kind of a love for the music too. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's an iconic show. They're iconic characters for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing this. So when you're putting this together, Ron, you obviously have like I said, you've got the jumping off point of being the Fab Four. Are you kind of, are you putting the show out there to the folks that already generally would hire the Fab Four and you're kind of, I have a new project. How are you putting, cause we're talking about a new tribute band. So how are you putting a new tribute band out there in the market? What are the steps you're doing?
Well, that's exactly what I'm doing. Hopefully with my connections and almost 30 years of being in the Fab Four. You know, I have connections, I have an agent, I have somebody who shines my shoes. So, you know, it makes for a way where I can just say, hey, I have a new project. This is what it is. Everybody loves the Monkees. And I think some agents are excited about it because, like you said, there's tributes to everyone. There's tributes to Journey and Queen and Kiss and whoever else. But there really isn't a Monkees one. And I think with Mickey being the last person of the Monkees left, I think this might be a good time for it. In fact, I just sent the email because we just made the website live here today. And so we'll see how many bites we get. It's just weird. We just don't know. I mean, obviously it's not as big as the Beatles, but at one point the Monkees ruled the world. And I think people remember that. People want to go and have a good time. We also have a show that's kind of, like John was saying, it's funny. It's interactive. It's a little bit emotional at certain spots because 3 of the Monkees are gone. And we bring people up to dance. And there's a lot of interaction stuff that we don't generally do with the Fab Four that we can do with the Monkees. And it's given me us a little bit of freedom to do some different things that I've always wanted to do on stage, but that the Beatles would never do, but the Monkees would definitely do. So we're hoping it goes places. Who knows? And this will be our first year of really putting it out there and giving our agents a chance to book it. And we'll see what happens. We're excited though. I like you said, it's really weird when they first got dressed up. I got to tell you, it was really weird looking at the Monkees. It was strange.
Yeah, I can imagine when it's something so connected to your own childhood, and then all of a sudden you're seeing it kind of like really live and in front of you. So I want to take a look at this. So if you guys don't mind, we're going to show a clip. And look, as you just said, Ron, this is a startup. The website's just gone live. I'm sure all the social media is starting to get going. We'll make sure and talk about that. But you're still working on getting that full produced promo going. But we've got some footage from you guys doing a show. And so we want to take a look at it, and then we will come back and we'll talk a little bit more. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. This is the Monkee Men.
Hey, we're monkeys. People say we monkey around. We're too busy singing to put anybody down. Take off. You're reading all them high fancy magazines. The clothes you're wearing, girl, are causing public to see. That's your stepping stone.
That's the Monkee Men, everybody. If that's just a little taste of what it's going to be like, I'm there, dude. I am going to go see this show. Absolutely, for sure. I know every single one of their hits by heart, and I'm ready to hear the deeper cuts. There were some songs that I remember from the Greatest Hits album that weren't big TV show songs, but I remember them. And I'm excited. And you guys, Frank, John, Josh, Doug, you guys are nailing this look and sound from the get-go here, man. What like that clip we just watched, how many shows had you guys even done at that point? How many have you done?
Two,
3.
Oh,
Right.
you are ahead
Two
of the
shows
game.
two shows as the Monkee Men where we opened up for the Fab Four, and then we did 2 shows with Mickey Dolenz when we were the Beatles and performing as his backing group.
And I mean, obviously the costumes, the look, the mannerisms, even the instruments are just you're dialing it all in. Doug,
Yes.
Mike Nesmith, who's a super low key guy, one of my favorite characters. But he's a character, and he's got when he just stands and looks, he's a personality.
Right.
I mean, there's a distinct thing with Mike Nesmith. So talk to me about putting that character together, the look, the sound, the instrumentation. What are you doing there?
Basically, it was just a lot of costume stuff that we had to come up with, and like it was a lot of work because I mean he's got a lot of facial hair going on. He's got a unique hairstyle. He's definitely got the hat, which is definitely a tough one to accomplish correctly and look good. So a lot of it was just we all just got together and told each other if it looked good or if it didn't look good, and then I mean, we had someone come in and make the costumes that were really, I mean, that was a long process because we all had to, do the measurements and then make sure everything fit correctly and then, get the right colors right and then seeing what costumes we wanted to actually do because, they have a certain iconic look, with the red and the blue shirts. And then, and then coming up with the instruments, we still having a Gretsch guitar that's they don't even make a Gretsch guitar anymore. At least I don't think they do. Gretsch, that's like Mike's. And then technically Mike never played it, on all those tracks. There's probably 2 or 3 songs that are a 12 string. So he's playing a 12 string on a lot of those, on a lot of those episodes. So, so we had to come up with some kind of concept of making it work and still look like the Monkees live, but look like the show. So yeah, that was kind of, it's still a work in progress, but it's it's a lot of fun. Like John said, like you said though, it's a little cheesy, kind of like cheese a little bit. I like a little bit, I like cheese sandwiches.
I think the thing with cheesy, you have to lean into cheesy. You have to lean into it.
You have to be very aware. You have to be very aware that you are involved. You're in on the joke.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like pouring over all the details to all these songs and stuff. I don't think a single song got as much attention as that Gretsch guitar that Doug's playing. Because every time we would stop, it'd be like, so what if we put a different pair of pickups on the Gretsch? What I was thinking, what if we swap out this neck for that neck? It might look a little closer to I think, that guitar has been poured over more than any of the songs that we're playing.
Well, that and the drums.
For that.
I mean, the
drums too.
Well, the guitar
Dude,
players,
talk about the drums.
Let me finish with the guitar. I'm finished with the guitar. So, like Doug was saying, Mike Nesmith is miming to songs he didn't play on, and he's miming on a 12-string guitar.
Right. Yeah.
And so you can't have a 12-string on every song because it won't sound right. So we pulled every other string off of that 12-string and made it a 6-string. And then you got to think the Wrecking Crew, those guys are using Fenders. They're using different kinds of guitars, and then you can make that Gretsch sound like a Fender. So, I mean, Doug's done a great job, noodling with like we were talking about, the pickups and just different settings on his amp and different things like that to make it sound like each one of those records, which are all different. They were all different players, and so it's not like where McCartney's playing the Hofner every single song.
Yeah.
This is a lot more difficult. And then the drumming situation, just Josh, you take it.
Sure.
That was a mess.
It was a mess. And that was the very first thing that I thought of when we started having the discussions about doing this band was how am I going to recreate the drum situation. And it's very convoluted, so I apologize in advance. But so
Start your timer.
yeah. So a normal right-handed drummer has his right foot on the bass drum, his left foot is on the hi-hat, and then he has to cross over and play the hi-hat with his right hand while the snare plays with his left hand. Mickey couldn't play the bass drum with his right foot. I think he'd had an accident, or he had an issue with his right foot that kept him from wanting to play that way. And so he set up his drums left-handed, so he had his left foot on the bass drum pedal and his right foot on the hi-hat, but he still played right-handed with his arms. So he had his right hand still on the hi-hat, his left hand on the snare, but he also, instead of having the floor tom to his left like a normal left-handed drummer would, he still had it on his right like a right-handed drummer would. So he came up with his completely own way of setting up and playing the drums. And me being right, and that's fine for Mickey in the way that he plays drums, but trying to recreate how Blaine's drum parts with my left foot on the bass drum when it's not my dominant foot wasn't going to work. It just wasn't going to sound as good. And we tried, and it didn't sound as good. So I had to figure out how am I going to make the look work while also being able to play properly. And so I came up with an idea of, so I got a left-footed double bass drum pedal. So your left foot is in front of the bass drum, and then your right foot also has a pedal that has a bar that runs across to the second beater that's on the bass drum. And so, but then I removed all the guts from the left side of the bass drum. So I have my right foot on a bass drum pedal with a bar that's running across to play the beater on the bass drum. And then hi-hats, progressive rock drummers like to use multiple hi-hats so that they can keep both feet on the pedals to play double bass. And so they've developed hi-hats that you can control with a cable instead of it being, you know, a straight rod. And so we got a cable hi-hat. So behind the bass drum, I'm controlling the hi-hat with a pedal behind the bass drum, and then the cable runs along the floor and runs all the way over to the right up to the hi-hat. So my feet are still playing right-handed, my hands are still playing right-handed, but everything looks like I'm playing left-handed.
Ridiculous.
Now,
That's all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching.
There's one guy.
Okay.
There's one drummer going. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Been there, done
That's
that.
what you did, huh? That's pretty clever.
Okay, so
Also, we told Mickey about this. We told Mickey, hey, Josh set his drums up just like you did. And Mickey said, why?
that's exactly what I would have said.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't be doing it this way.
Yeah,
okay.
he even knows that what he does it's weird. So he was like, why are you doing this?
Okay,
To be like you.
Okay, and I guess that's the question, and God bless you for the attention to detail. So is this so that the kit looks visually from the front the same?
Yes.
And can be set up the same as his kit would have been set up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
We really hope that there's going to be those Monkee nerds that are in the audience. They're going to be like before the show starts. Because this is what I do when I go to a show. I look at the gear and I'm like, oh, I see what they got. So we really hope there's going to be those nerds that show up. And when they see the drum kit set up all wacky, they're going to be like, oh, it's just like the show.
we're all
You forgot to talk about the champagne color, though. How long that took? That took
yeah.
So
the kit color?
Yeah.
The color of the drum?
So the color.
Well, they don't make the same kind anymore, right?
Yeah, due to like certain regulations or whatever, they're not able to make champagne sparkle is the color of his drum kit. And then he had a black drum kit that he used during like head and stuff. And so, but yeah, so we found out through the research that, we didn't want to use a vintage kit. You don't want to take a vintage kit on the road. And so we bought a Gretsch kit, and then we're going to have it recovered in the champagne sparkle but we found out that they don't make champagne sparkle the same way that they used to anymore. And so because of the new material that they use, it's recovering a drum set is a problem because I guess the material doesn't like to adhere to the wood. So we had to call multiple drum guys, and some of them refused to do it. They said, "No, I won't recover a
They don't
drum
wanna be
with that."
responsible.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
it turns out not looking very good, and I don't want my
Right.
name associated with that. And we finally found a guy who was willing to do it, and he did a great job, and it turned out phenomenal.
His name was Jose. He's from Mexico. He said, "Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do that. No problem."
And then
All right, we're going to go ahead and cut that part.
Leave it in.
I don't need that kind of grief, buddy. So this thing was a Frankenstein monster of a pulled together, created out of, well, it's not done. So you kind of made this up on the fly in a way as you went. I mean, there were some components that are available, but holy cow, I am blown away by this.
Literally everything that you're looking at when you see the Monkee Men, it took hours to do. Learning all the parts, learning all the vocals, all the instruments, every single thing, all the different sounds. It just took forever. Just literally, if you're doing a Beatles band, you can go on BeatlesSuits.com and get yourself a Ed Sullivan suit and some Beatle boots and whatever. But there's nothing like that for the Monkees, and nothing's ever been done like this, where we're trying to recreate the records and the way the Monkees looked on the TV show. It's never been done.
I think that's the key of why this has those extra layers, because you're not recreating a band. You're creating a show. You're creating something that was visually created for television. And so the look was, I mean, in a sense, the look was more important. They hired actors before they really hired the musicians, and there was no intention of them playing on any of the songs. So it was about what they brought to the show visually, comically, timing, acting-wise. And so you're creating the band version of what never truly, truly existed.
Right,
And I
it's
think
both
that's-
of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
huge-
the
that's
music
quite
is
an
just as
undertaking.
the music is just as important to us as the acting and the other stuff too. It all has to be there. Plus, they had to look like something. I just feel like I hit the lottery because they look just like them, they sound just like them.
Yeah.
They're all amazing musicians. They all learn their parts. We'd go to rehearsals and like the first time we play, it's like, okay, well that's done. You know, stuff I thought would take
Right.
forever, and it's really an interesting project.
And that's my point. I don't want to make sure that was not misunderstood. What you're doing is you're recreating audio. You're creating audio what was created for visual medium, and you're making sure it's replicated on stage,
Right.
live.
We're even doing the incidental music between scenes.
Exactly. Right.
Oh man,
Exactly.
I am all right. I'm all in. I need a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I need a hat. I'm in. There's
We
gonna
got
be a
it for
fan
you.
club. I'm in, buddy. So I love this, and I think it is a great concept. I think you've obviously with the background of the Fab Four, you went into this knowing how this was probably going to work best. You found four guys in your camp that were like, we're all in. We love this. We want to do it. And look, in the world of tributes, in the world of marketable products, where do you have kind of a goal? Do you have a target? Do you have an idea of what you think this could do? Where could it go? A tribute like this?
We're gonna take over the world.
It's a good goal. It's a good starting point, you know?
I don't like I said, that's the variable. I mean, you can play the Beatles anywhere, but then the Monkees were popular in Japan. I'll tell you what the good thing about the Monkees is, that the Monkees fans, and I'm one of them, and we're all Monkees fans in this group, is that they're a little Trekky. You know what I mean? A little Star Trekky. And
Sure.
so they will travel, from Texas to come out and see the group and go and buy the T-shirt and be part of it and be very. It's more like a community where people go, oh, where were you when Davey passed away? And it's very like a community almost. And I think we're banking on that so that Monkees people will come out and see it and have a good time and be able to fraternize with each other and enjoy the music together and have a great time remembering the 60s and the Monkees and that great music. Because, like I said, unless you go see Mickey, you can't really hear this music being played live on
Right.
stage, much less guys who look exactly like them and sound exactly like them and are doing stuff from the TV show, and they're involving the audience. And we give away a free, I don't know if I can grab it. We give away a free guitar at our shows, and so it's a real interesting experience. And I think the clients and the, like casinos or whatever, the theaters are really going to enjoy it and have a good time. And like, it's not, death metal or whatever, it's about people having fun and a simpler time. And I think people are really going to enjoy it.
I think in this current age where now the tribute is becoming more of it's finding niches now, in that it's maybe not necessarily an artist tribute, now it's genre tribute. So you've got this yacht rock thing that's happening. I was going to say wave, but yacht rock wave just seemed too obvious. But
right. You're funny.
So the yacht rock,
I'm going to get up, hold on.
Start my little river
the yacht
band
rock
tribute.
thing. So you'll find these genres now where all female tributes to, hard rock bands, or a polka version of Metallica. And you're going to find all this kind of stuff. And I think casinos, venues are kind of saying, okay, I love that. You guys give that away?
Mm-hmm.
We give that away when we're doing a show proper, we're going to give one of these away at every show. For the best
Love it.
dressed 60s costume, you come as
There you
a
go.
Beatle or a Monkee or a go-go dancer or whatever. And if you're the best costumes, you win this Monkees guitar.
Love it. Beautiful. I think the finding a unique thing that hasn't been done, that somebody else isn't doing, it's not getting done to death. It's like, look, you got 52 Saturdays this year. How many Journeys can you have? How many Rolling Stones can you have? How many, God forbid, Beatles can you have? It's time to do something different, and make sure you fill those dates with something that maybe somebody else isn't offering. I think you've got a huge opportunity here. Certainly opening for the Fab Four seems like a natural way to just really get it opening up and running when it fits. But I wish you nothing but the best. Did we hit on everything, Ron? Is there anything we wanted to make sure and mention? Guys, anything we got to make sure and get in here? Are we good?
I just want to say, I think the Monkees, like, everyone knows the Beatles endure. Like, that's a thing that's, like, not debatable. But, like, I think the Monkees do too. It's just not maybe as obvious. But, like, one example of it is, when did the Good Times album come out? Was it, like, 2018 or
something like that? Yeah.
Something like that. So do you know that record? It's when all these other, like, artists came together and wrote songs, and the Monkees recorded it. So yeah, is it the most recent record?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, Ben Gibbard of Death Cab for Cutie was on there, and he wrote one of my favorite Monkees songs, Magdalena. I can't remember the full name of it, but but I think that's one of the best Monkee songs, period, like, in the whole catalog. And so, and what that shows is all, Noel Gallagher was on there. He's, from Oasis, and all these other really, like, well-known and, like, celebrated songwriters came together to, like, make a Monkees album in 2018, which just shows how beloved the group is, right? And, like, how it's gonna stick around for a long time. And, like, I really feel like the Monkees, even though they had that rap of, like, not writing their own songs and stuff, and, like, maybe not seeming as legitimate in some people's eyes, I really think the more and more I like am in this band and I'm hearing about the Monkees, the more I realize that they're, like, also a musician's band. Like, so many of my musician friends love the Monkees and, like, share stories about how the Monkees were, like, inspiration for them. I know they were for me. And so, yeah, I'm really glad that we're here to sort of, like, keep the Monkees alive and simmering on whatever level that we can, because I think everyone, people do love the Monkees, and I like sort of, like, being the torchbearer in some way, like, of that catalog.
I can totally understand musicians liking the music. I mean, these are powerhouse players that were playing these songs,
Yeah.
So there's an appreciation there. They were incredibly well crafted. Look, I love a good pop song. I was raised on pop. I was raised on top 40, just like you. I was, raised with the radio and listening to music and Casey Kasem and the top 40 countdown. And I was raised on all of that. And a song like Last Train to Clarksville is pop perfection. It is a perfect pop song. It
and
really is.
Do you know anybody who can play that solo? I don't know anybody who can play that solo.
No.
Like we had to learn it. And Valerie, do you know anybody who can play guitar that well? And actually, I'm talking about learning it note for note. That's not an easy thing to do. There's some
No,
excellent
it's
drumming. There's some excellent bass playing. Some ridiculous high singing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very difficult thing to do, and you can see why musicians appreciate it. And I'm glad the Monkees didn't write their songs. They had,
Yeah, Mickey's up there. Mickey's up there, Josh. That's a high singing demand role, Mickey Dolenz.
yeah.
it is.
Playing and singing, never been an issue for you, playing and singing that much. I mean, you're carrying a lot of those songs.
Yeah. No, it hasn't been an issue.
He has this.
Guys, I appreciate it very much. I am absolutely there as soon as I see you guys playing somewhere near me. So let's make sure we get this all right. I know all the website and everything is now up. So it's monkeymen.com. That's the website. And then all your social media, you're going to be looking for @Monkee Men on Facebook and YouTube. And then on Instagram, it's The Monkee Men. And I'll make sure it's all listed here. So check them out when you get a chance, everybody. Good luck to all of you. Frank, John, Joshua, Doug, and Ron. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Roger.
I really appreciate you taking the time. Best of luck with the Monkee Men. I'm excited. Everybody check them out when you get a chance. That'll do it for this episode of the Ultimate Tribute Band Podcast. My name is Roger. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week. Have a great night. That'll do it for today's show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Really means a lot to me. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, email me at roger@tributebandpodcast.com. Or if you have questions for future guests, you can email me as well. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching the Ultimate Tribute Band Podcast. Please like, subscribe, share, tell somebody about it. Talk to you soon.